Good morning. I'm back here again. Not doing this one from my truck. Okay, so once again, I have a point to the video. It's a little, it's a dull point, like a fuzzy point, but it's a point. Okay, so the easiest way to explain this video. Well, just one sec. All right. Okay, so the easiest way to explain this video would be clarity. Okay. And that's probably what I'll end up calling these videos. You know how when you make these YouTube videos, they have like a header. It says, what would you like to call it? What would you like to say about it, to give some people an indication of what it is we're offering to discuss or show or whatever, right? This one I think is clarity. And the reason it's clarity is because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And to be honest, I don't have to wake up for 4 more hours to go to work. So generally what I'll do is I'll get up 2 hours before work, do a shower, I grab something on the way. I'm a Canadian, so I hit Timmy's, but it usually gives me a chance to either make a video like one of my truck talks, which has become a sort of an inside joke now because I do my videos in my truck office, which reminds me of a movie of a lawyer who worked out of the back of his car. Anyways, Cadillac. No, it wasn't Cadillac. It was anyways. The movie was the make of the car and him or whatever, and he was a lawyer. That way off point. Anyway, so the point of this video is clarity, and the reason I called it clarity, or I'm calling it clarity, and the reason I wanted to make this video is because a lot of times as a content creator, which I want to try to be, which I want to share, right? Because there's what a lot of people will find reasons to take their mind off of all the woes and the weariness and the issues that are occurring in life right now that can be stressful. So they just want to watch TV. They just want to watch YouTube or Netflix out or whatever and just be entertained for whatever mundane or mindless reason that is. That's a fantastic thing to do because it clears you, right? It cleanses you. It's like yoga. Yeah, I've never tried yoga. Huh. Anyways, but the on the other side of that quarter, because like me, I just like to flip onto YouTube. I have a lot of people that I follow, and I just want to be entertained, and it also helps inspire me. But on the other side of that coin is the person who makes the video, and he says, or she says, or they say, what makes my content, what gives it value? Because we're constantly, or I am, and I know a few others are, constantly asking, why would somebody pay to listen to one of my songs? Why would somebody pay to look at my art? Why would somebody pay or even spend their time, the value of their time, which is more important than fiat money? Why would they volunteer some of their valuable time to entertain what it is that I do or I say or I show? And at 3 o'clock in the morning, as I'm sitting here and I'm awake, and my daughter's awake, as you can tell in the background, she has the same ailment as me. It's called the creative gene, and it sucks because track pants would be so much more comfortable, and they don't have creative track pants. They only have creative jeans. So yes, that was my attempt at a joke. So I just wanted to try to explain one small portion of it that I do understand. Okay, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't have to be up for another 4 hours to go to work. My value, or what I bring to the table, is this. The reason I didn't just roll over and fall back asleep is because I had a concept in my mind. I had something in my head. I'll show you. It's really funny. It's so simple. It is so simple. But the simplicity of this thing is not what I love about it. It is the simplicity of the imagery of what it says about me, and the simple inspiration of what it is, and how something as simple as this, something as simple as this one little stick figure that I drew, has the power to keep me awake until I can share it, until I can make it and draw it and show it. And my daughters are like me too. My sons who are guitarists and whatever, they all have some sort of, I like to say, ailment, because man, at 3 a.m, you really feel like you're a sick dude. So here, hard to explain. That's what I did at 3 a.m. This gives me some sort of hope that I bring value to the table. I understand it's a simple stick figure. I get that. But the difference is that this stick figure, the way I draw it with my inspiration and my angle, gives it value to me. And I don't think anybody's going to buy it. I really don't. Every once in a while, I see a picture on like Pinterest or other venues, and I go, God, that's a cool picture. I wish I had that. Would I spend $5 or $10 on that picture if it was on a canvas? I would. Actually, I've got art all over the place, because the simplicity of it, like this, the simplicity of it is that it inspires me, right? This is just a picture of my logo. This is the actual original print of my logo. It's on my website, and it's going to be on everything I do, which was just a 3 o'clock brainstorm, or 4 o'clock brainstorm, or 5 o'clock brainstorm, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon brainstorm, because I'll show you. Look, and I did this too because it gives you an idea as to why I offer these things, because they're simple little brainstorm things, but it's not the simplicity of it as much as the intensity of it. It controls a portion of my life that, and I could go back to sleep and forget about it, and then I'll probably never think about it again. Or maybe I will, maybe able to pick it up again. But it's just like if you have a dream, and then you write down what your dream was. Because I've had dreams where there was so much clarity in the dream, it was like a movie. But, and I may write it down. If I don't write it down, then perhaps I may be able to wake up later and remember my dream, but it's pretty rare that I would remember my dreams. I as far as I can tell, I almost like never dream, because I don't. And that's really funny, because you would think somebody who creates stuff like that would have a lot of dreams, but I don't. It's pretty blank up there. Not much going on upstairs, man. It's like toys in the attic, and that's about it. So this is the other thing, right? So I wrote this. It is the concept for a story, just the 2 pages. And then there was this, which was another inspiration, another given time, at another given moment, somewhere. I believe I might have been at work for that one. And then there's these, and there's sketches, there's ideas, there's concepts, right? So this is one little handy book that I keep in my back pocket, and it's just a bunch of random inspiration. Okay. And then, sorry, aside from the one that I just did, then there's another one. Another book. Another piece of random, inspiration and ideas and thoughts and concepts and stuff, and just stuff that I draw, I do, I create, I conceptualize. And this gives it some sort of inspiration and hope that what I do has a relative value. And I mean relative value, right? So there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Once again, more stuff. So what makes me think that people might be interested? Don't know. Although at 3 o'clock in the morning, as I'm sitting here, and I wish I could just go back to sleep, and I probably won't for another 20 minutes or half hour or whatever, because I do these for about half an hour. Look, guinea pig hay. Got to buy guinea pig hay. What did that have to do with anything? Not too much. But at the bottom of the page, it says, Paper and I, Enfield, Eternalized Faith. So what are these? What are these? Okay. So these, and there's pages of them. Literally there's like 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of these things. And the reason there's 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of these things is because each one is a title for a poem or a short story or something that I've written. And some of these are literally 30 years old or more, whatever. Anyways, not all of them, but some of them. Why did I write them? I wrote them because in my mind, as I create these things, and I've created these things through the year, I think to myself, what was I thinking? Because if you're going to offer content, just like the title of this one is Clarity, right? That you want to give the person who's reading it or looking at it some sort of one-word blurb or short sentence or statement that gives them an indication as to what it is they're going to be looking at. And of the content of those things that I just wrote down, I look at them and I say, this is the title. And this is sort of a couple of lines inside it which inspired me to write it, or had some sort of indication to me as to what it is that I wrote. So what sort of visual would I put in mind if I had to draw that thought? That alone is staggeringly difficult. The other day I was outside. I had to draw a thought. I bought a yellow paper rose and a red paper rose, and I put them under the wheel of my truck, and I took a photograph. Why? I'm not sure why. It was an image in my mind. That image in my mind that made me think that it made me feel about something that I created. That love and friendship, because each rose, the red rose is sort of a representation of a love. A yellow rose is a representation of a friendship. Whereas those images are representative of a story, actually a small poem that I wrote. And sometimes in some of my writing, some of the stories that I write, there'll be little blurs of rhyme or limerick or lyric, however you want to look at it. There'll be a little bit of lyric or rhyme, and then the story continues a couple more paragraphs, 4 or 5 more paragraphs, and then another little rhyme or limerick, and they have some sort of brain glitch where I think these things and then I continue the story, and then I think this thing and that's where it's sort of the inspiration between the thoughts, right? So it's continual. It's every day, almost every day. Some days I don't do anything. I breathe, but I mean, aside from that, and I'm pretty sure that that's just habitual. So the ones that I've done, blah, 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 an older version. Actually, that's a newer version. This is the original, but the newer version of my logo. I didn't like that one. I mean, I did, but I didn't, it wasn't one of mine. This one, Batman. Haha, it's funny. And then the one I just did yesterday, which is another print. And by the way, those ones are created on a piece of wood. It's actually a super thin wafer thin, which reminds me of a joke. But anyways, wafer thin, couldn't eat another bite. Boom, the guy blows up. Wafer thin piece of wood, just a piece of wood. It's hard to tell, but there's actually wood grain on there. Why? Why did I draw them with pencil on a piece of wood? Well, I have no idea. I just felt that I could, if I was going to use something to immortalize that concept for me, simplest concept of a stick man or stick figure. And it's not that stick figures are all I draw. I've drawn and written many things. There was actually one time, and this was the strangest inspiration. I did much younger. I think I was 21 when I did it, for my best friend at the time, Ron. And Ron was one of the closest friends I've ever had. And the thing about Ron was that I cared for him deeply. Very great guy. And my favorite band throughout the years had been, by that time, Led Zeppelin. For whatever reason, they have, 90% of their songs I like, until they got to a couple of the, later albums that were good, but they were really weird, funky. Anyways, so what I did for his birthday is in Old English script, right? The very cursive, very decorative lettering. I wrote a poem using the title of every song they wrote. And I keep doing that backwards. I know you're not reading it this way, you're reading it this way. But anyways, I drew a picture of the Swan Song logo without the Zofo, but the Swan. And I don't know if you guys know Led Zeppelin, but it's easy enough to just Google it. Check out Swan Song logo, which is indicative of that Batman. But they did a fantastic job of creating that imagery, which is a guy with wings, the fallen angel. And with the Zofo, big print of the Zofo on this page, on this big black print page. When I don't know if he still has it, but I think it's on card. So like you make a poster card, it's on poster board. And then I hand drew that using a fountain pen, and then I in script, in Old English script, that you would see, like ye old pub, that sort of, if you can imagine, the ye old pub would be Old English script if you see it on a bar, an old bar in England or New York. I don't know why New York, but anyways, just a plain right away. But every line is the title of a song. So Over the Hills and Far Away, Barnyard Stomp, What Is and What Should Never Be, Stairway to Heaven. All of these things have a line in this poem which sort of tells a story of a transition of the moments of a person's life. It was messy, wasn't very clear. I was kind of rushing it, but at the same time, I put a lot of time and effort into it. It took forever, literally a long, long time to do it. I gave it to him for his birthday. I actually have a photograph I took. I have old photographs, right? And in time, I believe that actual photographs from cameras they're part of tradable history. So people invest in photographs and old photographs because they transcend time, right? So over time, these photographs from the turn of the century, turn of last century, are going to have their own intrinsic value because you cannot reproduce those. It was an original photograph, and it instills or encapsulates a moment in time, just like these videos do. These things are, maybe here forever, who knows? And they will encapsulate, if you look in the background of my area here, in say 20 years, certain things won't exist anymore because they will have had their time. And moving on, this would be a great example right here. This picture on my wall is a picture from my last wife's home. When we got together, this picture was hidden. So when I went into her home, I'm going to sort of bounce off a few walls here while I'm doing this. She didn't have any really pictures on the walls at all. She had bought this house, and we had, paid a fairly low amount in a large city like Vancouver. And in a sense, she had lived there for a while by herself, and she hadn't made it her own. She had just this space, and all her pictures were in a closet. And when I came into her life, I said, I don't want, and this is true of the people I meet, I don't want to change your life. I just want to be part of it. But at this point, because of how I've gotten to know her, and falling in love is a funny thing, I said, why is your home so sterile? There's furniture, but there's all these beautiful things that are indicative of who you are. So then, as I inspired her, and the relationship flourished, she pulled out all these pictures like this one and put them on her walls, and that became her space, as opposed to her place. It became her place, her space, her home, our home. And then from that grew much more, right? So anyways, these may not exist in about 10 years. You may never see a picture on somebody's wall in an old wooden frame, blah, blah, blah. It may be digital or whatever, and that's possible. You may just have 3D digital pictures, which you can see from any angle in the room, or perhaps you only see it from a partial angle in the room, just like, TVs are now, a whole wall is a TV, and you wouldn't know the TV's there until you turn it on, and all of a sudden there's a 3D TV. Anyways, the point was, my inspiration or my thought on this thing was what gives it value, what gives it any intrinsic value. The reason I think, and the inspiration of the thought of being here at 3 o'clock in the morning, or 3:30 in the morning now, 3:40, 3:48. Am I going to be able to go back to sleep? God, I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to be, dead men walking as I'm at work and trying to just kind of muddle through my day. But I don't know, right? I have these inspirational thoughts. I have to write them. I have to draw them. I have to create them, because otherwise they eat away at me. And if I force myself to just, fall back down and go back to sleep, I get worried that I won't be inspired, or I will have let that inspiration fall away. Does that picture that I showed you, the one that I drew at 3 a.m., does it have, is it a wild inspiration that would inspire other people? And is it a great creation? I don't know. It is what it is. And I offer it as a testimony to my life, to a thought in my life, which may flourish into being a story, because that it just takes that one little image or that one little moment of clarity or thought that is the seed behind a story. and it either has its own value, or it creates its own value. It turns into something greater than it was. So because I'm making this video, right, I just drew something. I did it I did it basically just for no reason, just out of nowhere. And the point was that that inspiration gives it its own value to me, and I want to share. So, another part of what gives that, or any part of what I offer value is, and this is sort of solemn, but I want to kind of put this out there too, because inspiration is it's individualized. It's an individual, like what drives people to make a video every day about the financial situation around the world, what gives a person inspiration to make gaming videos every day because they find it entertaining, and there's a couple people that do. I follow them for other reasons, but I know that they have like gaming channels. I don't watch those. I've seen ones by Jacksepticeye and other people, Markiplier and stuff, that my children have watched, and they're funny to watch. They're entertaining because their passion is shown in their work and their hard labor, and they deserve the fame and fortune that they are able to generate for themselves. Mine comes from experience. So, and this is going to sound bizarre or kind of dumb, but it's completely true. I have kissed death. So what I mean by that is, being asthmatic and having anaphylaxis to nuts. You can imagine that I have had the opportunity, not an opportunity, I've had the unfortunate moments in life that have just shown me that there's inherent fear of passing. And the thing about it is that of the moments, and these are stories I can tell going forward too, right? Which would fill more of these videos and more of these hours that I try to do, one a day. I would do probably 4 a week, because I haven't done one now in 2 days. I spent so much time setting up and getting ready to do one of these things yesterday, and I had a thought process in something I wanted to talk about yesterday, and I ended up not doing it yesterday because of a million other things that sort of happened throughout my day. And I just wanted to explain in this video what the inspiration can come from. It derives from the 3 a.m. unable to go back to sleep. 3 of my daughters have this same sort of reflex. My daughter, who just popped her head out, I was up and I was getting ready to make this video, and then she pops her head out of her room and she says, "What are you doing up?" I said, "I don't know. I'm going to make a video because I just had an inspiration and I want to share it." And I said, "I don't know why I do this, love. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make any noise here, but I'm going to be making a video." And I said, "What are you doing up?" She said, "Drawing." So yeah, she does too. And I have 2 other daughters who are creative, and they do the same thing. For whatever reason, they feel compelled from something deep inside that's beyond the simplicity of what we are to share and create, because of the 7-8 billion voices, we should all be heard. And when you share, you inspire, or you can give other people peace, or at least a piece of what makes their life have some sort of validity or meaning. This video is going to run a little bit long because there's a couple other things I just wanted to say. When I say that I've kissed death, you have to understand that I'm not being facetious here. I'm actually, I'm a tradesman. By trade, I was a roofer for 25 years. And being a roofer, it's a dangerous job. You're obviously up a few stories in the air, and you have safety harnesses and stuff, but sometimes you're in a position where you're not locked in, you're not tied into the roof. And I've actually fallen off the roof like 9 times, and not once did I die. I never broke anything. I've got, residual. I have neck pain every once in a while from, believe it or not, getting bumped in a car, by a car in a parking lot a few months ago. I was okay before that, and now I get neck pains. You would think that falling off a roof 9 times would give you some sort of body ailments. No, No, for some reason, I guess they say the reason people survive car accidents if they're drunk drivers is because they're not tensing up and breaking things. They're relaxed, don't see it coming or whatever, and being relaxed, they suffer minimal damage. Fair enough. I buy that explanation because it sort of makes sense. I myself have been in 13 car accidents, and am I being silly? Am I being dumb? Am I being ignorant on this one? Nope. I can prove it. I've been in 13 car accidents, of which I've been the driver for 3. The rest I was a passenger. The last major one was a car accident on our drive to Nelson, BC. The roads were snowy and covered. I've got photographs of going down the highway. I got a photograph of, like, I believe it was maybe 15 minutes prior to the car accident. I took a photograph out the front windshield. My love was driving, and we did a 360, careened through a 4-lane highway during a snowstorm, and we could have been just piled by oncoming vehicles, right? Because there was traffic, but we didn't. We missed it all, and we ended up, backwards, butt over tea kettle in a snowbank on the other side, and we had to get pulled out. Strangest thing, and we learned a few things on that trip. One, was I angry? Not at all. I felt, worried that she was okay, because she was suffering from the ailments of cancer at the time. I kissed death because I had to say goodbye to her. She passed away of that breast cancer, I think just a year later after that car accident. And there's 2 ways to go. You're either cognizant of what's happening and you see it coming, like my father. He knew it was coming, and right up until the end. And then there's my love, who the cancer had migrated to her head, and in the end, she was not cognizant, that we could tell. She couldn't communicate anymore, and I tried to communicate with her, but we would just stare in each other's eyes, at 2, 3 in the morning when she would wake up, and I was with her the whole time for almost 3 weeks. We were in the hospital before she finally had to go. Anyways, 13 car accidents, fallen off the roof like 9 times. I've stopped breathing 2 or 3 times. Had anaphylaxis, one of the major